Sage is a drought-tolerant, hardy perennial herb that is easy to grow. Adding this low-maintenance companion plant is a simple way to expand your herb collection. And today, I'll tell you everything you need to know to grow it well. I'm Angela from Growing in the Garden. My garden's in Mesa, Arizona. I want to help you succeed, even if you're gardening in tough conditions. Sage is a popular Mediterranean herb with woolly gray-green leaves. Sage is hardy to zone 4 but grows extremely well in desert areas because it tolerates hot weather, poor soils, and minimal water. It also gets beautiful purple spike flowers that attract beneficial insects and pollinators. You can start from seeds or transplants. If you're starting from seed, start them indoors a couple of months before you want to plant. Seeds don't store well but should germinate quickly. If they don't, you'll know the seeds have gone bad. Sage seeds are large and easy to plant. Seed-grown sage takes a long time, so I like to buy transplants. Look for transplants that are nice and tight and haven't outgrown their container. The roots should not be circling around the bottom of the container. Smell the leaves and make sure you like the smell. That's how your sage will smell too. Don't rush planting sage in the spring. It needs warm soil to grow well. In most areas, plant outside after the danger of frost has passed and your soil is nice and warm. In mild winter areas, there's also a second planting window in the fall. Here in the low desert, plant from February through April, and again in the fall in October and November. The most important thing is that the soil be well draining. Sage does not like to sit in wet soil. It tolerates poor soils. You can grow in the ground and use it to fill in dry areas of your garden. It can grow as a ground cover and will spread to about 2 feet. Sage grows well in raised beds. I have one in a raised bed that's been there over 4 years. I like to grow them in the corner of the bed so they get a little bit less water and that soil is a little bit drier. I'm planting another one in this corner to match the other one that I've got growing. So sage is easy to plant. Dig a hole in the soil and put the transplant in at the same level as the nursery pot. Put the soil around, and then I like to cover it with a nice layer of mulch. Allow about 2 feet for the sage. By the time this grows, this other plant will be long gone and the sage will take its spot. Sage also grows well in containers. Choose one that's at least 12 inches deep. I like terracotta because it lets the roots breathe. That way they won't rot. I'm planting this one, but I'm not adding an Oya. Sage doesn't need the extra moisture. The roots on this look good. They're not circling. This plant is nice and healthy. So put that in at the same level. Firm it down. And I always like to add a nice thick layer of mulch. Don't let sage roots get soggy. It tolerates dry conditions and poor soil, but will die if the soil is always wet and not well draining. During hot months, water sage deeply, but less often. Sage rots easily in hot, wet soil. At the end of the winter or the end of the summer, your sage might look a little bit haggard. When temps moderate and you start to see fresh new growth at the base of the plant, that's an excellent time to cut back your sage and reinvigorate it. Give it a nice hard prune and then top it with fresh compost. That's all the fertilizer your sage will need. You should begin to see fresh new growth emerge and your sage plant will look beautiful. After about 5 years, the plants may become woody, or you might see that the flavor is declining. You might want to replace your plants. I planted this 4 years ago and it's still looking and tasting great. Harvest and use sage as needed year-round. You can also harvest those beautiful purple flowers and they are edible too. If you harvest them young, you might encourage a second flush of new flowers. Although I love using sage at Thanksgiving, it's not just reserved for that holiday. It's also delicious if you chop up the leaves and add them to a salad. And it's surprising how well the flavors of parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme go together. Experiment and don't be afraid to try fresh herbs in your cooking. They add delicious flavor to so many things. Like many of the perennial herbs I grow, I don't bother preserving it because I love having it fresh from the garden. Dried sage has a stronger but different flavor than fresh sage. If you'd like to preserve it, make sure the leaves get fully dry, either in your dehydrator or freeze dryer. Store the dried leaves whole in an airtight container. They'll have the most flavor if you crush them just before using them. Sage is a beautiful and delicious part of my garden. What's your favorite way to use sage?